What's up, everybody? On today's very special episode, I've got 3 hilarious dating fail stories pulled right from Reddit to share with you. Around 10:30, he started to complain about his stomach hurting. Around 11, he says he really needs to use the bathroom, visibly sweating, breathing heavily. We both sat there in silence for a little bit. I really wasn't sure what to say to make him feel better. And I was also feeling a little sick from the whole thing, the smell. Yep, each of the stories is going to be accompanied by some hilarious animation, so it brings the story to life. At the end of reading all 3 stories, I'll decide which of the 3 is the worst dating fail. And you make sure you decide in the comments too. So with that being said, let's jump right in to the first Reddit story. The title of this one is, I, 26 male, found my girlfriend of 4 years, 26 female, talking to other guys on the dating app Hinge. How do I approach? So me and my partner have been together coming up 4 years. For the longest time in our relationship, she's been quite the bubbly and happy person. And for the most part, our relationship has been pretty good. I started noticing the past couple of weeks, she's been acting distant, not interested in me, and instigating arguments far more often than usual over quite minor things. On top of this, anytime she's been on her phone recently, she would go out of her way to sit as far away from me as possible and almost shield her screen, as I'm presuming to stop me from seeing what she was doing. Red flags there, my buddy. We usually would cuddle on the couch all the time, but not anymore. All this culminated in what happened tonight, with my girlfriend going to sleep earlier than me, as she usually does most nights. Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to snoop through her phone. Granted, I know this is a shitty thing for me to do behind her back, but in the moment, I felt justified, as I've caught my girlfriend going through my phone while she thought I was asleep on more than one occasion, as well as accusing me of talking to other girls, with absolutely no proof. Hinge. I honestly didn't know whether to feel shocked or vindicated in my suspicions. I still don't really know how to feel. Either way it turns out, she's been using the app for at least the past 2 to 3 weeks and has had conversations with upward of 6+ guys, most of which involve talking about planning dates and meetups. Okay, hold on for a second. He's actually reading the conversation, so I think he's leaving out the fact that he probably got into her phone. He didn't just swipe down on the menu and see that there were messages. Calling BS on that. So how do I approach the situation? I'm very conflicted. I obviously just want to wake her up and scream at her. All this gaslighting and accusing me of cheating, and ultimately, she's the one talking to other guys. But I have so much invested in this relationship. We recently just put a deposit down on a home. And we've adopted a kitten, which I have just grown to love over the past year. I don't know if I could handle a breakup and not being able to see my cat again. To add to this, she talked about going to get married next year in Las Vegas just last week. I'm just confused. I'm really just in a terrible headspace. Need advice. Whew, there's a lot going on in that story there. Let's see if that takes the number 1 cake. Let's dive in to the second story. Am I the a-hole for using a dating app to boost my self-esteem? My girlfriend and I have been dating for 6 years. Before that, we're friends for about 3 years. My girlfriend is super loyal. She always finds a way to cheer me up. No matter what, she becomes the highlight of my day. He doth protest too much right here. I'm not sure why I've been feeling this way, but I haven't felt good about myself for the past few months. Career-wise, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I wake up late, don't want to get out of bed. I have a loss of my appetite. I've got a loss of my interest in going to the gym. I don't feel good about my physical image. I thought it might be a good idea to download a dating app, strictly to see if I was deemed as attractive by everybody else, so I could boost my self-esteem. My girlfriend found out. She got furious. She views it as cheating. Am I the a-hole? There's a lot going on here. We got one more bad Reddit dating story. Story number 3 is titled, Am I the a-hole for Venmoing requesting money from a Tinder date after he crapped in my car? A couple of weeks ago, I, a 19-year-old female, went on a Tinder date with a guy who I knew from high school. We were mutual acquaintances before this, and when we matched on Tinder, we agreed to meet up. Okay, immediately getting hookup vibes. Matching on Tinder, you went to high school, they're gonna hook up. I picked him up at 7 and we went and got some food. After that, we drove to some secluded place so we could talk. And then she puts in parentheses, leave it up to the imagination. Anyways, around 10:30, he started to complain about his stomach hurting. I asked if he wanted to leave and he said no, kind of blew it off for a little bit. Around 11, he says he really needs to use the bathroom. I wasn't sure what to do because we're in a very secluded area. He tells me there's a gas station about 15 minutes away and asks me to step on it. I leave and drive as fast as I can, but it's very dark and I don't know my way around. And he's becoming more and more frantic. visibly sweating, breathing heavily. At one point I asked if he could pull over, but he swears he can make it. Unfortunately, he misses telling me to take a turn somewhere, and we get lost. Then he gets very pale and yells at me to pull over. I stop as fast as I can, but when I do, he doesn't get out of the car. He just sits there, very resigned. At this point, I understood it was too late. Oh my God, I thought I had some bad dates when I showed up and my date was like already drunk. This is next level. We both sat there in silence for a little bit. I really wasn't sure what to say to make him feel better. And I was also feeling a little sick from the whole thing, the smell. Eventually, I just offered to take him home and tried to act nonchalant. He agreed, so I drove us home. He also tells me that he will reimburse me for getting my car cleaned. I feel bad because, of course, it wasn't his fault. Accidents happen. So I offered to split the cost 50-50. This is like one of the most insane moves of all time. He pooped in your car, and now you're offering to split the bill? Let's read on. I also told him if he wants, I'd like to try a second date, since this one turned out so, yeah. What is going on? I thought I was gonna read this whole story and be like embarrassed and disgusted by this guy's behavior. I'm shocked. I got my car detailed and sent him a text letting him know everything went well, but I didn't get a response. I waited another week. I texted him again. I said like, hey, did you see my text? Again, he didn't even respond. I went to Tinder. He had completely unmatched me. I was pretty pissed, I'm not gonna lie, because I thought I was chill about the whole situation. I went looking for his Instagram to try and message him there. When I found him on Instagram, I saw he had his Venmo in his bio, so I decided to Venmo request him. In the description, I put the poop emoji, pointer finger, and my car. Real subtle. Surprisingly, I get a quick response. He sends me the money, but he also texts me pissed because he said his friends would be able to see what I put and would probably put 2 and 2 together. Am I the a-hole? It is hot where I'm filming right now, but that was sweat and cringe-inducing insanity. Jeez. All right, I gotta decide now, which of these 3 is the worst dating scenario? So let's recap the 3 we've got. Number 1, we've got the guy who's suspicious about his girlfriend cheating on him using Hinge, and they've got a cat together. Number 2, we've got the guy who downloads a dating app so he can get self-esteem boost. And number 3, the girl who picks up her high school buddy who poops in her car. All right, so which of these 3 is the worst case scenario? I'm gonna say right off the bat, I'm gonna eliminate story number 2. Story number 2 is the 3rd worst, but I think you can actually get over it. One of the ways to fix it maybe would be if you're honest enough to say, hey girlfriend, take my phone, read every message, see that I didn't even reply to anybody. They were just saying I looked hot. Maybe that's a way around it. 3rd worst in this scenario. Now we're down to the last 2. Gotta poop my pants versus we just bought a cat. I would say that the couple that's dealing with the cheating, well, that's a huge issue. Clearly he doesn't trust her, she doesn't trust him. They probably need to call it. However, I gotta scratch that one because nothing beats going on a date and having your date poop in your car. She asked in her Reddit, am I the a-hole? Yes, but not for being rude or anything. You were just way too polite. How could you text this guy about going on a second date? You gotta have some better standards than that. That is the absolute, maybe one of the worst dating stories I've ever heard. So with that being said, you win the title of the worst of these 3. Now everybody at home, you let me know what you think. Was I right in this? I'd love to know from other people that thought this was not the worst dating story. Oh, and also too, if you're the people in these stories, reach out to me. I'd love to hear more. All right, with that being said, thank you so much for coming to our episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to y'all later. Bye.